Hello everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel of OneCodeCamp. In the previous video of our TypeScript tutorial series, we discussed about creating variables as well as the different basic data types that exist in TypeScript. In this video, however, we will be discussing about the concept of type inference and type annotations. I hope you look forward to that, and I'll see you on our desktops where we have our Google Chrome browser tab prepared as well as our Visual Studio Code. So, I'll see you then. Hello everyone and welcome back. Now in this case, before we get to talking about TypeScript, let's just prepare our files and do the necessary setup that we usually do. So here, I'll create a new folder. I'm going to name this Type Inference and Annotations. I'll right click into that folder and create two new files. One will be index.html and another will be app.ts. In our HTML file, we'll create a boiler template with the exclamation mark and tab, change the title to Type Inference and Type Annotations. I'll create a script source tag and name or link it to an app.js. And then in our Google Chrome browser, we'll right click and open with Live Server for our Visual Studio Code. After that, we'll just open with the inspect element to display the console of our browser. There's going to be an error, simply right click to enable. So we'll have this error because we haven't had our app.js file yet. So we'll go now to our TypeScript file, open the terminal with Ctrl J, and then we will do tsc, we should go first, change destination to our folder, which is the Type Inference and Annotations. After you've done that, now we'll do tsc app.ts and -w. And there we go. Now we have linked all the way to our live server and our app.js file exists. And now we can talk about the concept of type inference and type annotations in TypeScript. Now that we are done for the setup for our TypeScript tutorial, now we are going to just do some final touches and just hide panels. We'll close this JS file so it doesn't overlap with our TypeScript file and this Google Chrome browser tab. Now to begin, I'll create a comment. So creating a comment is usually used for a note or reminder of what your code does. So you can do this by doing Control and slash, and it will do the comment based on the programming language you're using. So in this case for TypeScript, you can create a comment with 2 slashes. Firstly, I'm going to name this Type Inference. So firstly, I'll create a variable to demonstrate this. So let's say I'll just use the let keyword to create a changeable variable so we can update it. And I'm going to name this as variable string. I'm going to create a string data type using a pair of double quotation marks. Say this is a string data type. And also I want to verify if this is actually a string by logging it into our console with console.log and using the typeof operator and our variable string. And as we can see here, we have a string data type. So this means that our variable string is being detected by TypeScript as a string data type. And type inferencing simply refers to this. Type inference means you are not explicitly stating the data type of your variables. In this case, we didn't mention any string data type when we are creating our variable. It automatically detected that it is a string as soon as we have used a pair of double quotation marks, or we can also change this into a pair of single quotation marks, and it will still be considered as a string. Now let me also do this by using it for a number. So let var num I'm going to say 7, and we'll also console.log this and check the data type. So var num, as you can see, it is a number data type, and in here we didn't mention any keywords for using the number data type. It just knew it was a number as soon as there's no quotation marks and it was a number that was being displayed. So I'll do this for the remaining data types that we introduced from previously. So let's say here we have the boolean, bool, var, bool. So this is going to be true. Console.log this and var bool. As you can see, we have boolean data type. So again, type inferencing, you're not explicitly stating or defining it outright what data type your variables have. And now I can demonstrate type annotations, and it is going to be the opposite of that. We are explicitly stating the data types of our variables. So here there's going to be type annotations below this. And to perform type annotations, so let's say I'll create a variable, let another var str. So instead of using the equal sign and then just putting the value of your variable or string data type, you will use first the colon and name the data type that you want. So in this case, I'm going to name this, I want this to be a string. And then you will assign the value for that variable. Now, when you type anything inside this, as soon as you've annotated as a string, it will be considered an error if you put anything else. So let's say I put here 3. Notice that there's a red squiggly line under the name of our variable, another var string, once I put in the number 3 over here. But if I put in a string, let's say just string, and over here, there are no errors, and if I console.log this particular variable, another var str, and we have that display over here. So string annotated variable. And also just to double check, let me use the typeof operator and check its data type. Then here we have still a string. Now in any case, when you're using type annotations, the exact moment you've annotated your variables, you can no longer change the data type, and it has to be exactly what you've annotated as. So I'll do this just for the number as well. Let another num, another var num. I want this to be a number. So we've annotated with the colon and then the data type, so number, and equal it to, let's say, 77. I will console.log the name of this variable, another var num, we have 77. And also checking the data type. So this is enclosed in a parentheses, and before the parentheses, the typeof operator. And it is still a number. Now, I'm going to change the 77 into a Boolean value, which is false. And here, we are having an error in our TypeScript, but notice it actually compiles to JavaScript. So in this case, you have to be in your TypeScript and it will remind you which values are not what it's supposed to be. The purpose of these strict following of data types is so that you remain consistent with the data types of your variables. In JavaScript, it just compiles our data types wherever they may be. But with TypeScript, with type annotation and type inferencing, it will keep track of the data types your variables initially had, and this allows you to continue changing the data type. So in here, I've set the annotation as number and changed it to the false Boolean data type. It is still considering an error, but this red squiggly line or error will disappear if I turn it back to a number, let's say 100. 100.1. No red squiggly lines, errors that are being displayed. Now, in type inferencing, it is not limited to just type annotation. You can also do this with type inference. Let's see in this variable, it is a Boolean data type. I'll update the content of the variable into, let's say, a string. Let's say string. Now again, notice it will compile into JavaScript, as you can see here. It is still a string, but in our TypeScript file, it tells you that type string is not assignable to type Boolean. That's because with type inferencing, just like type annotation, it keeps track of what the original content of your variable was, and it will remind you that this is not the original data type that you initially had. So in this case, variable was supposed to be a Boolean at first. We change it to a string, and it will keep constantly reminding us that this is not the original data type. So for type inferencing, you are not explicitly stating what data types of your variables are. It just knows what data type of your variables are through certain keywords and certain symbols. For string, it's the double quotation marks. For num, it's the numbers, just numbers with no quotation marks. And for Boolean, it is the true or false keywords. And for type annotation, now you are explicitly stating the data types that your variables should have. I'm also missing another variable here. Let's say another var bool, and this is going to be a Boolean. You're going to set this as false, and also console.log and check the type of this variable, another var bool. And there we have it. String number Boolean, these three basic data types that we introduced previously, and we are performing two different concepts. One is type inference. We're not explicitly stating what their data types are, it just knows automatically. While type annotation, we are strictly telling it to be only this data type before we even created our variable. So I hope this is clear for you, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.